The Bring Chicago Home referendum appeared to be on track for a loss before the polls closed on primary election night. Supporters of the measure suggested that factors such as low voter turnout, uncertainty among residents about the issue, and concerns about its implementation may have contributed to the outcome. That was the very subject that Chicago Politics lead correspondent Samantha Lampkin spoke to residents in the South Loop neighborhood. She joins us now with the insights.
Thank you, Ugo. That's right. The Bring Chicago Home referendum was met with a resounding no by Chicago voters. The paragraph-long explanation on the ballot gave details of what the referendum would mean if it was voted for. But did the ballot language really tell us what we needed to know? I traveled to the South Loop neighborhood, and of course, the people are talking. From the low voter turnout in the 2024 Illinois primary to why the Bring Chicago Home referendum was unsuccessful. Those are just a few of the questions on today's For the People. We're here in South Loop on the corner of 21st and Michigan. Now, South Loop holds its spot in Chicago's history as one of its first original residential districts and also known as the first real Gold Coast. And in South Loop, there are lots of hidden gems, including this place, Issues Barber and Beauty Salon. And inside these doors, there's no shortage of quality haircuts, hairstyles, and some real conversation. Now, I got their opinions on voting in the Illinois primary and more on today's For the People. To vote or not to vote? That's the question being asked to staff and clients at Chicago's own Issues Barber and Beauty Salon. Now let's keep it real. Did you vote? Any of y'all, did y'all vote in the March primary election?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay, why didn't you vote, Marcus?
I don't think politics has really too much to do with us as black people.
According to the Chicago Board of Elections, numbers show that out of 1.7 million registered voters, only 20.2% of those voted. That number includes day of, early voting, and vote by mail ballots. In 2012, however, turnout was 24% citywide. Steve, did you hear about Bring Chicago Home?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so Bring Chicago Home, as we kind of discussed, it's basically a tax move by the mayor, Mayor Brandon Johnson. He proposed it. It was an amendment on the Illinois primary election. So it didn't pass because basically the people with money thought that they were going to siphon it from them to give to the homeless. So do you think y'all would have even voted for Bring Chicago Home? Mitch, what about you? Would you have voted for that?
Probably not.
And why not?
Well, honestly, I feel like a lot of people fault Brandon for a lot of things, but once a person is elected, I still feel like it's a muscle behind them. Like the decisions are not solely up to them. I definitely trust Brandon, but I feel like whatever decision is made, it's not solely up to him. Yeah. Like it's a machine behind him and he has to do what the machine says.
Supporters of the ordinance say that the tax would generate $100 million annually. However, opposers say it would have a devastating impact on commercial property sales and an already declining business occupancy rate in Chicago. And Marcus, you kind of mentioned something like that too. With the voting, you don't really see it helping us. So voting for something like Bring Chicago Home, do you really think it would have brought Chicago home?
No. Well, that money probably would have been taken and used for something else.
Bring Chicago Home, to me, could have been something great. It sounds great. It sounds like a great idea because we living in the United States, rich people, they rich. They got enough. They got more than enough. And to just help out people who literally have nothing, to me, is not a problem. But again, if I was trusted that my money was really going to help the homeless and help the less fortunate, then yes, of course it would be happening. But
there can be many speculations as to why the Bring Chicago Home referendum didn't pass by the voters of the 2024 Illinois primary, especially since the second largest city in the U.S., Los Angeles, passed a similar referendum in 2022. Shout out to everybody at Issues Barber and Beauty Salon for their opinions on this Illinois primary election and why they do or don't vote. I'm Samantha Lampkin, and this is For the People. Ugo, as you saw there, it's a double push to not only get registered voters to the polls, but also to get them to understand what's even on the ballots. There's also other thoughts with just going and voting as well.
Now, Samantha, some of the people you spoke with talked about mistrust in government. Did they share anything more about that? Is it a lack of trust in individuals or just the system itself?
I would say both. If you don't trust the people, how can you trust the ideas that the people are creating? And it still becomes an issue of relatability as well. Now, most of the political language isn't clear. And then when voting day arrives, you're expected to just say yes or no. Most people, especially those with a lack of understanding, they're going to roll with the no.
Thank you, Samantha. It's exciting to be working with you. I look forward to more For the People segments.
Thank you, Ugo.